Picture this. Your husband ties you to the back of his car to teach you a lesson that he is the king. And when he gives an order, you say, "Yes, sir," and obey. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is hearing the engine start, knowing you're about to be dragged by the man you once called your husband. What he didn't know is that the woman he tried to drag was about to take back the throne that made him a king. This is how Clara Jennings let her husband play king until the day she took back her crown and made him fall harder than he ever imagined. Before we dive in, hit that like button because you wouldn't believe how this woman's silence became her husband's loudest lesson. Her name was Clara Jennings. At 29 years old, she was the daughter of one of the wealthiest businessmen in the city. Her father, Gregory Jennings, owned multiple companies, real estate investments. The Jennings name meant something. It meant power. It meant money. It meant doors opened before you even knocked. But Clara wasn't interested in flashing her father's name around. She'd seen too many people treat her differently the moment they found out who her father was. Men who wanted her money, not her heart. Friends who wanted access, not friendship. So when she met Ethan Davis, she kept it simple. Ethan was struggling, fresh out of university with a business degree, but no connections, no family wealth, no opportunities. He'd been job hunting for 8 months, sleeping on his friend's couch, eating one meal a day, but he had something Clara hadn't seen in a long time. Genuine kindness. He didn't know who she was. Didn't treat her like a prize to be won. He just saw her. They met at a coffee shop where Clara was working on her laptop. Ethan was there for a job interview at the office building next door. He came back 2 hours later looking defeated. "Didn't get it," he said, sitting down across from her. "Same story everywhere I go. No experience. But how do I get experience if nobody will hire me?" Clara listened. Really listened. And over the next few weeks, they kept meeting at that same coffee shop. Ethan would tell her about his job search struggles. Clara would encourage him. Slowly, they fell in love. Real love. The kind built on conversations and laughter and shared dreams. 6 months later, Ethan proposed. It wasn't fancy. No expensive ring. Just him on one knee in that same coffee shop, asking if she'd build a life with him, even though he had nothing to offer yet. Clara said yes, but she also made a decision. She went to her father and told him about Ethan, about how kind he was, how hardworking, how he just needed one chance. "Daddy, I love him, but I don't want him to know about our family yet. I don't want him to feel like he owes me anything. Can you give him a job at one of your companies? Make it look like a normal interview process. Let him think he earned it on his own." Her father studied her face. "You're sure about this? Keeping secrets in marriage isn't wise, Clara. It's not a secret forever. Just until he's confident, until he feels secure. Marriage is partnership, Daddy. I don't want him to feel like I rescued him. I want him to feel like he built this with me." Gregory Jennings nodded. He loved his daughter, and if this made her happy, he'd do it. "All right, send me his resume. I'll have HR call him for an interview at Jennings Enterprises." But he goes through the real process. When Clara got home, she told Ethan she sent his CV to her uncle to see if there was any vacancy. 2 weeks later, Ethan got a call, an interview at Jennings Enterprises. He was so excited he was shaking. "Babe, I got an interview." Clara smiled like she was hearing the news for the first time. "That's amazing, Ethan. You're going to do great." Ethan got the job, a junior management position with a salary that was 3 times what he'd been hoping for. It came with a company car, housing allowance that covered a nice apartment, medical benefits, everything. Ethan couldn't believe it. He kept saying, "This is it, Clara. This is our fresh start. I'm going to work so hard. I'm going to make them see they made the right choice." And for the first year, he did. Ethan worked hard, was respectful, humble, grateful. He'd come home and tell Clara about his day. Thank her for believing in him when nobody else did. They were happy partners building together. But then something shifted. As Ethan got more comfortable, as the paychecks kept coming, as his colleagues respected him, something changed in how he saw himself and how he saw Clara. He started making comments. "Clara, you don't need to question where I'm going. I'm handling business." Or, "I'm the man of this house. You need to trust my decisions." At first, Clara ignored it. He's just finding his confidence, she thought. He'll settle down. But it got worse. Ethan started treating her like she existed to serve him. When he came home, he expected her to bring him water, take off his shoes, serve his food. If she was sitting down, he'd tell her to stand up and get him something. "Clara, I'm talking to you. Stand up when I'm speaking." Clara would do it. Not because she had to, but because she was trying to keep peace, trying to be a good wife, playing the role of submissive partner while her husband played king in a castle she paid for. Then came the night that changed everything. They went to dinner with some of Ethan's friends. During the meal, one of the men's wives made a comment about her husband. Ethan's face went red. He turned to the woman and said loudly, "My wife would never disrespect me like that in public. She knows her place. In my house, when I speak, she says, 'Yes, sir.' When I walk in, she bows to serve me. That's how a real marriage works." The table went quiet. Clara felt her face burning with embarrassment. Not for herself, for him, for what he'd become. When they got in the car to leave, Ethan was driving. Clara leaned over quietly and said, "Ethan, family business should stay private. It's not good to talk about our marriage like that in front of people." Ethan's jaw tightened. He didn't respond, just kept driving. "What did you just say to me?" "I just said we shouldn't talk about private things in public," Clara said quietly. "You embarrassed me in front of your friends. Made me look weak." He stopped the car and got out, opened the trunk, came back with a rope. Clara's heart started racing. "Ethan, what are you doing?" "Teaching you a lesson about respect, about who's in charge." Before Clara could move, Ethan grabbed her arm, pulled her out of the car, and tied the rope around her waist. Then he tied the other end to the car's bumper. Clara was in shock. "Ethan, stop. What are you doing? Please." Ethan got back in the driver's seat, leaned out the window, and said, "Next time I speak, you listen. Next time I give an order, you say yes, sir. Not argue, not question. I am your king. Do you understand?" Clara was too shocked to speak, too afraid to move. Ethan started the car, and just as he was about to move, suddenly another car came around the corner. It slammed into the side of Ethan's car. Not hard enough to hurt anyone, but hard enough to stop him. The driver jumped out, saw Clara tied to the car, and immediately cut the rope. "Are you okay? What happened? Should I call the police?" Clara was crying, but she shook her head. "No police, please. Just help me get away from here." The driver helped her into his car and drove her to a hospital. Clara called her father from the emergency room. Gregory Jennings arrived within 20 minutes. When he saw his daughter crying, his expression went cold. "Who did this to you?" "Ethan," Clara said quietly. Her voice was empty, hollow. Her father's jaw clenched. "I warned you about this guy. You said you loved and trusted him." Then he sat beside his daughter and said, "I will handle this." 2 days later, Ethan showed up at work like nothing happened. Clara hadn't come home, hadn't answered his calls. He figured she was at a friend's house being dramatic. She'd come back. She always did. But when he walked into his office, his manager was waiting for him. "HR wants to see you. Bring your ID badge and company car keys." Ethan's stomach dropped. "What? What? Your employment has been terminated." Effective immediately, Ethan felt like he'd been punched. "Terminated? For what? I didn't do anything wrong. I've been a good employee. This doesn't make sense." The manager's face was stone. "It's not my decision. It came from the CEO's office." Ethan stormed home furious. He called Clara. Finally, she answered. "Your uncle just fired me for no reason. You need to call him and fix this." There was a long silence. Then Clara's voice, cold and calm. "And you know the job came with the car and the house you're living in. So, you need to return the car and vacate the apartment within 48 hours. Ethan felt panic rising. "What are you talking about? Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore." "Ethan, you're a king. Remember, kings figure things out." "Ethan, please. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. But I need this job. I can't get another one here. Your uncle has connections everywhere. Nobody will hire me. He says I lack human decency." Clara's laugh was bitter. "Human decency? That's exactly what you lack, Ethan. Please, baby. I'll do better. I'll change. Just talk to your uncle for me. Beg him to give me another chance." "Beg him?" Clara's voice turned icy. "Aren't you a man, Ethan? You told everyone you're a king, so command him. Walk into his office and tell him to give you your job back. And if he refuses, tie him to your car and drag him down the street. Go on. You can do it. You're the king, remember?" Ethan's hands were shaking. "Clara, please. Go talk to him yourself," she said. And then she hung up. Ethan drove to the company headquarters the next morning, walked into the building he'd worked in for 2 years, took the elevator up to the executive floor he'd never been allowed on before. The manager who'd fired him was coming out of a meeting. Ethan stopped him. "Please, I need to talk to someone about my termination. There's been a mistake." The manager sighed. "I'm acting on the CEO's orders." The CEO is also the owner of the house and car you were living in. Maybe you should talk to her. Ethan blinked, confused. Her. Clara Jennings. She's my boss. This is one of her father's companies. She's the CEO of the division that handles employee housing and benefits. Ethan felt the floor drop out from under him. Clara? My wife. Clara Jennings? The manager raised an eyebrow. If you're talking about Clara Jennings, then yes. Ethan couldn't breathe. He started to connect the dots. I should have known better now. It made sense to me. It had been Clara all these while. Ethan stumbled backward. All this time, the job, the car, the house, the salary, everything. It wasn't because he was good. It wasn't because he earned it. It was her. It was always her. Ethan ran back to the apartment. His apartment. No, her apartment. The door was locked. His key didn't work. There was a small black bag sitting on the doorstep. His bag. The same bag he'd carried when he moved in 2 years ago. Everything else he'd accumulated since then, the nice clothes, the electronics, the furniture, it all belonged to the company. To her. He called Clara. Please, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't understand. Please give me another chance. I'll be better. I'll do anything. Clara's voice was steady. You didn't know you were living on my mercy because I didn't want you to know. I wanted you to feel like a man, like a partner, like an equal. But you took my kindness and turned it into an opportunity to make yourself feel powerful by making me feel small. I was wrong. I see that now. Please apply that lesson in your next life, Ethan. Or maybe the next woman you meet. You'll remember that you don't know what someone sacrificed to love you. You don't know what doors they opened, what battles they fought, what pride they swallowed just to see you smile. She slammed the door. Ethan stood there on the street holding his small black bag, staring at the building he could no longer enter. The car was already repossessed. The job was gone. The respect was gone. And the woman who loved him enough to give him everything was gone, too. Within 3 months, Ethan left the city. He couldn't get work anywhere. The Jennings name carried weight, and when people heard he'd treated Gregory Jennings' daughter the way he had, doors closed. He ended up in another city, working odd jobs, starting from nothing again. This time with no Clara to believe in him. Clara went back to running her father's companies. Today, Clara is thriving. She eventually remarried, a man who knew exactly who she was from day one and loved her not despite her success, but because of who she was as a person. Ethan is still trying to rebuild his life, still learning the lesson Clara taught him. The Bible says in Proverbs 16 verse 18, "Pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall." Ethan's pride made him think he was king, but he was only sitting on a throne that Clara built. And when she decided to take it back, he fell harder than he ever imagined. What would you have done in Clara's situation? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you're in a relationship where someone is treating your kindness like weakness, remember this story. You don't have to destroy them. Just stop holding them up. Let them learn what life feels like without you carrying them. Subscribe for more stories of women who knew their worth and refused to be diminished. God doesn't let disrespect go unpunished. He gives you the power to take back what's yours. Stay blessed.